Hello, sinner saints, my fellow ribs and the glories of men. Welcome back to another video. Today, I kind of wanted to talk about everything I'm doing in this pregnancy to avoid being high risk. Because if you know any of my story, it is a long list of being a high risk. GBS positive, history of preeclampsia, history of postpartum hemorrhage, so much more. And so because some of those things can be affected by the everyday actions and lifestyle of people, I wanted to run through some of the things that I'm doing in this pregnancy that's a little bit different. Last time, for my first pregnancy, our situation was a bit different. We were paying off debt. I had pretty much no money to spare. I think I spent $35 on some beef liver supplements and then $500 on a NIPT test, and that's all I spent the entire pregnancy. I didn't buy a pram. We got that secondhand from a friend. I didn't buy a stroller that was donated. Like, literally, I spent nothing, and I'm very thankful for my community for coming through in that time. But yeah, we had no money to our name. So I didn't have any money to spend on things that would actually be nice and would actually be a little bit helpful as well. And if you know anything about my story, that birth turned out a bit rubbish. It turned out well. It was glorious. It was intense, but it was hard. And so here's some of the things that I'm doing in this pregnancy right now. I will be doing more things later as we go into the pregnancy, but here's some of the things I'm doing right now to avoid being high risk and have a bit of an easier birth. First of all, 75 hard. I think it has not only mental and self-discipline benefits for the enduring race that is going to be birth, but I think it has great physical benefits as well. Very rarely am I so intent on getting outside at least twice a day to walk, to run, to lift weights or do Zumba, some form of cardio. I've always had fantastic physical benefits while on 75 hard. My sleep, however, terrible because I've often forgotten to drink water until the last second of the day. You know, that's something that I struggle with. But not only it gives a lot of, ironically, you end up having more time in the day because there's less time to muck around and scroll and do whatever I want. So 75 hard is something that I'm determined to get done before the end of this pregnancy. But as well, it's super beneficial in not letting me get overwhelmed. It gives me space to breathe. It gives me a daily routine, a daily grind to work away with. Very helpful. Acupuncture. I struggled with this a little bit as a Christian, so I was intentional in finding the right provider. This was mostly more in my earlier pregnancy and actually preconception stage, but I hope to do it more in the latter parts as well. Seeing a nutritionist, of course, seems like the most reasonable one of them all. Making sure that I get the right intake of foods and waters, and she kind of helps me on like the sleep and other areas as well of my life, but definitely make sure that I'm nourishing my body physically, which is super important. And in that, mostly eating organic, which is an amazing privilege, but it is also a massive financial expense for our family. We ideally eat about 60, just above % or mostly organic foods, which is so helpful and tastes delicious. Very worthwhile investment. A few months ago, I saw an osteopath for the first time. I wanted to make sure my alignment was good leading up to birth because if you know my birth story from my first, he was malpositioned in the descent, and so that caused a massive stalling and a very, very long and painful labor. And so ideally, I will be in good alignment physically in the lead up as well. Sleep. Oh, it is important, and this is the area that I'm failing on the most. I'm terrible with my sleep because I use the nighttime to catch up on everything. So I'm trying to get better with that. But yeah, just investing in sleep because it's so essential for the body. And it just makes you feel so much better throughout the day as well. Now, I know this one is controversial, especially within the Christian community, but I've been trying out Christian hypnobirthing, and maybe I'll break down my thoughts in a longer video. But I think it's intentional to set some reflective time aside to kind of just recenter mentally and spiritually, and just reassess how you're going, check in with your body, and in a sense, Christian hypnobirthing courses are super helpful for that. It's not an endorsement. I'm still figuring it out. Would love to share my thoughts soon. But yeah, those are some of the things that I'm doing. Is there anything else that I'm missing? What else should I be adding to hopefully have an easier birth next time? Be sure to let me know down below. Anyway, that's all from me. Grace and peace from our Lord and Saviour, and I'll see you tomorrow.